I just love seeing those cherry trees. It's amazing just how heavy they are with the fruit. I could make one cherry pie with this recipe, but I'm actually going to make 12 mini cherry pies. 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, half a teaspoon of salt. If you've never made a pie dough before, I think this is the best recipe to start with. It sort of has everything you need to get the sense of what a pie dough should feel like. Half a cup each, vegetable shortening and butter. Big chunky pieces because I have opportunities on many occasions to work that butter through. First right now with my fingers, then when I add the liquid, and even when I'm rolling out the dough, that will work in the butter. I'll measure half a cup of ice cold water, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and I stir just until the liquid is in the dough. And this is why I'm glad I didn't overwork the dough in the beginning, because you can see, look at that big hunk of butter in there, and that's okay. The crust looks surprisingly wet now, but you'll be impressed with how it sets and rolls up, so it's easy to handle. You have to make sure to store it in the fridge to set completely, and it'll take at least 2 hours until the butter firms up. I'm so glad I don't have to pick 6 cups worth of cherries. Wow, those are fabulous. I find when it comes to making a pie filling, you do have to follow a formula, but you can tweak things like the sweetness or the spices you add to suit your own tastes. 1.5 cups of sugar is really all it takes to sweeten all these cherries. And I like to add just a hint of cinnamon. When you've got cherries this good, you don't have to add tons and tons of flavoring, so just a touch to bring it along. But I can't use this as cherry pie filling. It's not thick enough, and that water would just go right through the crust, as good as that crust is. So simply, I thicken it with some cornstarch. 4.5 tablespoons and about 1/4 cup of water. And then you add this slurry to the cherries. I can't use the filling now while it's hot because it would actually melt the pie crust completely. So I'll let this cool, let the pie dough rest, and then maybe fiddle around in the backyard, do a little decorating. The dough is ready. It's firm, but still a little pliable. And I'll divide it into a 2/3 section and a 1/3 section. Now this is going to be for the lattice top. A classic cherry pie has a lattice top, so these mini cherry pies are going to have the same woven top to them. There we go. Rolls out easily. I like to give it a lift. Make sure it's not sticking. And just a little round cutter. This now becomes the base. And now for the cherry pie filling. I have to say, one of the best parts I find about cherry pie isn't just the filling and the crust, but it's when some of the filling leaks out and caramelizes on the outside of the tart. It's almost like cherry candy. And now for the fun part, the lattice top. I would be here all day if I rolled out each lattice top and wove it individually. So what I'm going to do is pretend like I'm making one giant cherry pie and do one giant weaving of lattice top and then make cutouts. So I'll use the fluted side of the cutter, so thin strips, almost like fettuccine. So I will remove every other piece. So every other one gets folded over. And now the longest piece goes in the middle. Fold this back over. Now the opposing sides, I lift those down. Go. See, is it starting to look like a lattice? All of a sudden it takes shape. More. There we go. So I use a smaller cutter than I use to line the shell. And when you use the cutter, it sort of pinches the edges so it looks exactly like a baby cherry pie. The last thing to do is brush the tops with a little egg wash. Whole egg, just stirred with a touch of cold water. How can you make something like this that's spectacularly even better? A little sprinkling of sugar on top. That way the tops of the baby cherry pies have a nice crunch to them. And it promotes caramelization. I have the oven preheated to 375. I'll cook them at that temperature for 5 minutes. Then turn down the oven to 350, and within 25 minutes, I've got golden, bubbling baby cherry pies.